Lots of people admire Jesus, and they admire many other gurus. They see Jesus as one road to God, but not the only one. Jesus said he was the way, the only way to God. Either this is true or it isn't. Today, pop culture tells us that everyone can find their own way to the divine. And so Jesus is placed on a shelf with many other pathways to eternity. Today, another lie is debunked. From Chicago's Moody Church, this is Running to Win with Dr. Erwin Lutzer, whose clear teaching helps us make it across the finish line. Today in Jerusalem, Christians are walking the Via Dolorosa, or the Way of Sorrows. It's the path Jesus took through that ancient city on his final earthly journey, a tortured walk to the place of his execution. Today it's a path through a busy marketplace, as souvenir sellers hawk their wares, and signs along the street mark the traditional stations of the cross. When you visit Israel, it's almost eerie to know that you are walking in the steps of the one who gave his life to give us life. Here in America and elsewhere, many Christians will gather in churches for Good Friday observances. We'll meditate on the high price paid for our eternal salvation, a price whose depth we cannot fathom. Meanwhile, today's sellers are still hawking their wares. Today they hawk alternate versions of reality, versions in which Jesus, the Son of God, has been replaced by Jesus, the good man who meant well but ended badly. Dr. Erwin Lutzer has written a book to debunk the lies being spread about the Son of God, a book he's called Slandering Jesus. Today we come to lie number 6, that Jesus is but one way among many. Dr. Lutzer, why did you choose to address the religious views of Oprah Winfrey, especially in light of all the good she's done?
Well, yes, Dave, and it is very important for me to begin today by pointing out that we can be thankful that Oprah does all of the good that she does do. For example, building a school in Africa, she's helped poor here in the city of Chicago. She has really been quite generous with all of her wealth. Furthermore, we have to commend her for her show in this sense that she has not stooped to the gutter like some of the other shows have. I mean, usually she deals with very important topics because she herself was abused as a child. She's very sensitive to the whole issue of child abuse and brings to the attention of American women and really women around the world many issues that are important. But Dave, the reason that I included her is because, number one, many people say that she is really a spiritual leader because she's into spirituality. And we'll comment in a moment about what she believes about Jesus and why I believe that her belief is actually slandering Jesus. And there are those who suggest that she's really today's Billy Graham. You know, she speaks to millions of people every week. It's not just here in America, but she's seen and heard and admired around the world. But also I chose Oprah because she is a microcosm of what Americans really believe today about Christianity. And when she says, for example, that we make a mistake when we think that Jesus is the only way to God, she's speaking for millions and millions of people. By the way, Dave, have you ever thought what would happen if someday she were to be on her show and say, going back to her Baptist roots, were to say, you know, Jesus is the only way to God, and if you don't accept him, you're going to be lost forever. Dials all over the world would turn her off.
Right away, I'm sure.
Right away. So what she does is she, of course, takes a point of view that is popular, and what she does is simply make Jesus one among many. And that's the reason that I included her in my book. It's a microcosm of what America believes.
But one thing she seems to emphasize is the whole value of spirituality.
Oh, she really does. In fact, when her movie Beloved was being filmed, she actually says, and I have the quote in my book and it's footnoted, she actually says that she went into the trailer and sat there and actually tried to channel various spirits. Now, you and I know, Dave, that that is occultism that the Bible speaks strongly against. So it's another reminder of the fact that people can be very spiritual, whatever that means, without accepting any important doctrines of the Bible. So you have spirituality really in all the religions. Spirituality is seen best in what we call today the New Age movement, which I think is probably already the Old Age movement, where you can plug into the divine, and it really doesn't matter who this divine is or what he is or who she is. You can plug in. So that's the kind of thing that is being taught on the show.
You speak of spirituality without truth. What do you mean by that?
Well, if you don't have the Bible in your hand and you begin to navigate the metaphysical world, we believe as Christians that the atmosphere is filled with both demons and angels, and of course God, who fills everything. And if we begin to plug into the divine by using mind sciences or assuming that there's a cosmic Christ who indwells everyone, when we begin to do that, what happens is we not only are led into error, but we can actually end up with some kind of a connection to evil spirits. So we can't have spirituality without truth. Truth says that if you want to connect with God, you've got to do it God's way, and God's way is revealed in the Bible.
Dr. Lutzer, in slandering Jesus, you maintain it's necessary to believe that Jesus is the only way to God to be saved, and you begin by stating that the nature of sin demands that. What do you mean by that?
Well, if sin is not serious, if sin is only, eating chocolate, or if sin is something that we can all wish away, then of course there are many ways to the divine. But if sin is serious, then Jesus, of necessity, is the only way to the Father. By the way, Dave, I think your question is based on what Oprah actually said. What she said is, in a panel discussion, the question was asked whether or not Jesus was the only way to God, and she said, what does God care about most, our hearts, or whether or not we call Jesus God or Jesus his Son? What she's really asking is, isn't it important that our hearts are right? Now, notice the implication of that particular question. What she's assuming is that you can belong